Hello and welcome to Hammer's Chat, where it's just finished. Brentford 0, West Ham United 1 at the Brentford Community Stadium in a pre-season friendly, and it felt like a pre-season friendly. It wasn't the most exciting game you're ever going to see in your life. It wasn't Celtic. We all enjoyed. Well, you all enjoyed that. I didn't see that game. I missed that game. I saw the highlights. I was like, oh, this is good times, West Ham. Watch this. We won. But it was a game of flurries. It was a game where 10 minutes would be real intense. Lots of things happen. Teams look like they're going for, oh my God, there's chances left, right, and centre. And then it would die out again. And you're like, do something. You know what I mean? It was one of those types of games. But hey, tomorrow is the beginning of the month, which means patreon.com/Hammers Chat is a thing you could have a look at. Don't join today. Join tomorrow, because it charges you when you join it and it charges you at the beginning of the month. So if you did it today, you'd get charged again tomorrow, and that would be a fool's errand. But have a look, link in the description below, have a gander, have a think about it, right? So the West Ham lineup, strong. It was a strong lineup. This is a lineup you would expect to see in the Prem. It wasn't a huge amount of youth players in the starting lineup anyway. The bench, a different story. We'll get onto that. Fabianski, Fredericks, Diop, Dawson, Johnson, Cresswell, Lanzini, Coventry, Benrahma, Fornals, Antonio. So Coventry and Johnson getting in there. Johnson's kind of a first-team player at this point. But Coventry getting the nod again. And I felt like he had another good game. Maybe not as good as his previous preseason games, but another good game. Definitely someone we're going to be seeing this season, I feel like. Definitely someone we're going to be seeing. Given the amount of games we've got, I can see him playing a role, because today he was good again. The first half was interesting, I felt like, and it was because West Ham were playing a style that we don't do too often under Moyes. I felt like we were trying to control the game a little bit more. Lanzini, Fornals, Benrahma, they were linking up well in the sort of central and left-sided areas. Little passing triangles here and there, looking to play their way through Brentford's defence, as opposed to our usual thing, which is basically purely a counter-attacking side where we're pumping it long into the channels to Mikel Antonio and then hoping someone can match him, be it Fornals, be it Lingard previously or whatever. We were looking to control the game a little bit more. We were getting into good advanced positions, and we were making nice stuff with it, nice little connections. I should say at this point, it didn't really come to much, but it might have, because I did miss the first 10 minutes. I was asleep. I'm working freelance at the Olympics at the moment, which means because it's in Tokyo, I didn't go to bed till 11 a.m. So I missed the first 10 minutes. That's why there was no watch along today. If you're like, why is Charlie doing this but didn't do a watch along? That's why. So maybe it did come to something. Hey, let me know below if it came to something in those first 10 minutes, because I did miss it. But that was interesting, because it's something I want to see more. That's the West Ham style I like. That's the style of football I like. So to see us doing something a little bit like that was exciting, interesting for me. But it wasn't without its faults. In the 28th minute, and this is when you're going to see a flurry, by the way, listen to the minutes. 28th minute, Davishoglu, the Brentford player, mugged off basically everyone. He did that thing. Do you remember Scott Parker used to do that thing where he would spin players, but it's not like he would do it like Dennis Bergkamp. He would just sort of dribble in a circle and then run past them. He did that a couple of times to a couple of our players before playing an absolutely beautiful through ball, which came to nothing, but it's a warning sign that there are fragilities there at least. And in the 31st minute, flurries, there was a disallowed goal for West Ham United. What a time to be alive. Almost. Lanzini had a free kick just about halfway line, plays it over the top. Benrahma, who again is someone who's going to come up quite a lot in this review, strays just offside. He was offside from the initial ball, but does really well, because Lanzini looks like he's overhit it. It looks like he's going out for a goal kick. Benrahma, full stretch, keeps it in, flicks it back sort of towards goal-ish. And Brentford's goalkeeper, I can't remember his name in the first half. It wasn't Raya, so I can't remember who it was. Sort of stretches to get a hand to it, palms it straight into Mikel Antonio's path, who's got the goal at his mercy. There's no goalkeeper to be seen. There's a couple of defenders on the line. They're not coming to challenge him. He takes a touch, thinks about it, pile drives it in, punts it in from the 6-yard box. But offside, because Benrahma had just strayed offside. Correct decision, but showing that there's something in this game yet, because at this point there wasn't too much going on. 2 minutes later, 33 minute, Brentford have a penalty claim, which goes to a no pen, which I agree with. Onyeka, who was their second, I think a new signing for them, their second most expensive signing ever, who I thought played well, picked up the ball about the halfway line, just carried on dribbling, all the time and space in the world for Onyeka. And something that happened a couple of times where we just sort of opened up and allowed them to sort of dribble at us. And it's like, someone, someone. I guess that's where you usually have a Souček or Declan Rice to stop him. To be fair, but at the same time, someone. He just kept dribbling. He got to the edge of the box, and Lanzini clambered in. One of those ones where you sort of step into it. It wasn't like a diving challenge or a nice calm standing challenge. He just sort of climbs into him. Onyeka goes down, but wasn't a penalty, but a big shout at least. And then 2 minutes later, again, 35 minutes, complacency. Sergi Canos, who I thought was very good again for Brentford. Someone else I think deserves a shout out. Plays a little bit like. He's a bit like our Fornals in a sense. He's finding the pockets of space really well and finding nice, interesting passes and doing stuff with it. He played through force. He was playing up front ahead of Ivan Toney in the first half. Fabianski charged out to clear it, and Dawson, because Dawson was just caught too high. The ball comes over the top, Dawson sprinting through. Fabianski has to charge out offside of his area just to clear it. Dawson and Diop looking a bit wobbly. Dawson specifically in that instance stepping up way too high from an already high line and just allows Brentford all of the time and space in the world. Again, signs of fragility there. Fabianski does well to come out and collect it. To come out and clear it, not even collect, just to clear it. But you're looking at it and you're saying, this is just a basic error that should not be happening. And then that was that flurry done. Through till half time, not really much happens. At that point, it was 50-50 possession. We'd had 6 shots. Brentford had 1. It was a game where we sort of had controlled most of it up until that point. But Brentford were... There were signs that they could do something. I felt like you were looking at Fornals, Benrahma and Lanzini, who were doing really well together. Fornals especially, I want to give him some shout out at this point because... that boy can pass. I just like Fornals a lot. I can't help it, guys. He passes so well. He finds these nice little through balls that other people just don't do. He plays on a slightly different level, I think, on a slightly different wavelength. And the rest of the team is sort of catching up to that. And it's exciting to see for us. And this was the point where I realised about the bench. So no ball comes on for Ben Johnson at halftime. Fair enough. But the bench was, and because I missed the first 10 minutes, this is probably why I didn't notice it until now. Randolph and Martin, 2 goalkeepers, can never be too safe. Alves, Baptiste, Forson, Noble, and Okaflex. So only 1 senior player. Now, I know we have people missing. I do know this before I say it. I know there's people missing, but reinforcements are so necessary. At this point. It's a problem. Like, we've got a lot of games coming up. There's going to be injuries. Some of these reinforcements like Yarmolenko are free to leave the club basically at this point. We need people coming in and it's kind of a concern to see that bench a little bit. I'm all for playing the youth and I'm excited to see the youth play. David Moyes isn't as excited as I am to play the youth. And with the amount of games we've got, that's an issue. We come out much the same. Brentford trying to play out from the back. They almost get caught out right at the beginning of the second half. There's a moment where they're literally passing it around as confident as you like at the back while being pressed very high by the likes of Antonio and Fornals. And they're passing it around them and it looks calm. It looks like there's no stress, but that will come back to haunt them. Spoilers. In the 65th minute, when Benrahma scores an absolute belter. Now, Benrahma has stepped up in this preseason, I felt. I've always liked him, to be fair. I think he's maybe slightly harshly done by in the first half of this... not the first half of the season. Last season, I felt like he was harshly done by. But here, he's raised his levels and this goal, disgustingly good. They're playing around at the back again, Brentford. They're being pushed. Antonio's pressing them. Fornals is pressing them. Fornals goes to press Pinnock. Pinnock tries to play the ball out like they were doing the entire time, Brentford. And the pressure forces him into a poor pass. Noble intercepts one touch, his first touch, lays it off to Benrahma. Shimmies past the Brentford midfielder who was trying to mark him into a central area, and then he just absolutely curls one with power into the top right-hand corner. Beautiful finish. Even some of the Brentford fans were just clapping that one. They were like, yeah, fair play. You've nailed that. I mean, to be fair, it's Benrahma. But, you know what I mean? Beautiful stuff. And then again, Flurry, a minute later, another a save from Raya, this time from Connor Coventry. West Ham are playing close passing in and around the sort of right side of the corner flag. You're seeing Fornals getting involved in that again. Ball comes whipped in towards Coventry. He makes a good run across his marker into the centre of the pitch, basically the only person there. And he goes for like a no-look first-time dink volley. I don't know what I'm saying either, but it was a good opportunity. It was good smarts from Connor commentary, and forces a good last ditch sort of one of those saves from right. You know, the ones where it's going over them and they go. One of those. And then 1 minute later, this was where the game changed for me, and it turned from interesting into a bit more like the West Ham I'm sort of come to know and expect from David Moyes. Frederick Alves comes on for Lanzini, the second change for West Ham, and it turns out to be the only other change for West Ham. And we shifted. We were playing 5 at the back before, where Ben Johnson was probably playing so far forward you could argue it was 4. But we were playing 5 at the back 4, but now we were playing 3 centre-backs. We were playing 3 centre-backs. We had Coventry and Noble in midfield. We had the 3 up front, and that was it. The 3 up front were the attacking options. And we went from what we were doing before, where we were trying to control the game a bit further forward, to really just pure counter-attacking football. Not necessarily a bad thing in a lot of games this season. That's going to be very useful. We saw it last season. That's basically all we did, and it was very good. But at the same time, you're like, the first half had some interesting passing going on. Some of the second half had some interesting passing going on. And now we sort of reverted to type with a midfield 2, and this is no disrespect to commentary or Noble, but they're not Souček and Rice. And it sort of slowed, it made us less effective. And Brentford began to take control of the game. Baptiste, who's the Brentford one, not R1, although on the bench did not come on, began to really control the game. I was really impressed by him again. Someone else I've never really heard of. And I follow Brentford. I know the name, but I've never really seen him. And I think the commentary said that he's barely played last season in the Championship. An absolute belter, very unlucky not to have scored. He strolled into the central area, and I do mean strolled. And again, another chance where you're like, West Ham, can you please just someone stop this person? He just strolled into the central area, and then out of nowhere unleashes the beast, an absolute whappage. Is something I've just said out loud, and it hits the post. Unlucky, because it was big, and he continued to be a danger. 5 minutes later, an amazing run, takes on what felt like every single West Ham player and goes past them all. He just kept going. He would get past one and he goes, oh, okay. And he gets past another and you're like, oh, okay. And he gets past another, you're like, flipping out. And it wasn't like a run from deep. They were all in the area and he just kept going. The close control, there was one bit where Frederick Alves sort of steps a little bit to him and he does this, I can't even describe it. He just flicks it between his feet really quickly and he's through again. And you're like, this kid is good. This kid has really good close control. Amazing run. Unfortunately, the last touch was just a bit heavy and goes away from him, but deserves a shout because flipping out. Then 1 minute later, we see that counter-attacking coming into play from West Ham. Long ball out to Antonio is headed down. Fornals with a simple pass to Benrahma. Benrahma tries to slide through Antonio. It's just a little bit. This is all happening on the halfway line, just a little bit too far ahead of Antonio. He does gain control of the ball, but he never looks really confident with it. And the shot goes well wide. What we expect from Antonio a little bit. But we're seeing that counter-attack come into play and we're seeing that sort of West Ham defending, like we're just ending this game now. It's a pre-season friendly. It's not the end of the world. It's just for fitness purposes. But that was it for the game. 76 minutes in the game basically was dead at that point. It was nice. It was calm. There was rain happening, which was fun for me because I could hear the rain on the gift from the game. And as someone who will listen to rain as like a calming thing before bed and when I'm working and stuff, it's just a nice vibe. But it wasn't an exciting vibe. The last thing that of any note was in the 89th minute. Mark Noble collects the ball just outside our area, punts it long to Antonio in the channels, who collects it. He wobbled through centrally. His shot was nothing to write home about, unless you were warning them that it was on its way, because it was very wide. And that was it. That was the game. It ends 1-0. A game where there were periods of hotness and the rest of it was sort of turgid. I mean, a couple of Brentford players I wanted to pick out just to mention them. I thought Onyeka, Canos, Devashoglu and Baptiste all looked really good for them. All people we should be looking out for. We're obviously going to face Brentford twice this year. These are names that we could be looking out for. But from a West Ham perspective, these are the key points for me. I'll start with the negative one and I'll go on to all my positives. Dawson and Diop were unconvincing. I felt like they both had moments where they looked good, but they also both had moments where they were wobbly af. Dawson stopped a very good chance in the first half where he basically got goal side in a very competent manner and cleared the ball out. Diop, there were times where he made good challenges. So it's not like they didn't have their moments, but as a combination at the back, especially when the counter-attack was happening, I was scared. I think Diop has good recovery. I don't think Dawson does, but it's more that Dawson, I like when he's playing deep, when he's playing high up and Brentford hitting us on the counter attack. I was a little bit concerned. So it's not really a centre back pairing I'd be looking to see often this season, I think. But that's the one negative thing I'll say, because I don't try to take too many negatives from preseason friendlies. I try to be it's just about fitness. So I try to keep it positive, and I do think you can take positives. I think negatives a little bit less so. I thought Lanzini did well. He was playing a sort of deeper role again. He wasn't playing a 10 or anything or out wide for most of the game. He was playing that sort of more reserve, not quite defensive midfielder, but certainly part of a midfield three. And I thought he did well. He got forward well in a similar way to Souček, I guess, getting involved in lots of the play. Nice one-touch passing. And there's times where Lanzini still, even though he's come through all of his injuries, there's times where he has a little touch or a little pass and you see that quality shine through. Like a jewel. And yeah, I thought he played well. Connor Coventry, also in that midfield. I'm going to make all midfielders basically. Connor Coventry and Fornals are the next two. Coventry, I think, continued to look good. I don't think he played a game as well as he has done in other preseason games, but he continued to do his job well. And I really do think there's a role for him going forward in this team, especially with all the games going on. I really do think there's something there. It's not quite on the level of Josh Cullen, where I was utterly convinced he should be part of the first team, but I didn't think Coventry would be this good going forward. He continues to impress me in that sense. He had two good opportunities in this game to score, made from his own decent movements. There was a couple of other times where he would create something and you're like, oh, okay, he's not just a defensive midfielder. He has a bit more to his game than that as well. And I'm excited to think that he will get game time, because I think he should. Obviously, once Rice and Souček come in, they're both incredibly consistent. They both very rarely get injured. So I doubt we're going to see him get tons of game, so much game time. But in League Cups, stuff like that, we should be giving him game time, because I think he's got it. I think he's got something. He's got it. Another person who has it, Fornals, man. First half he played central, and his passing is just next level. He's such a smart player. He really is. Like, I look at it. Sometimes I look at our team and I think, as good as they are, Mikel Antonio is never going to play for a club that's above West Ham, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Mikel Antonio is a very good player, but he's not going to play for Chelsea. He's not going to play for anyone like that. Fornals can. Fornals is a player who I think, at times, I felt if he gets put into a position out wide where he does it for the work rate, and that's fine and all. I think he does that job with aplomb, but it is a case of, here is a guy who's put there for work rate, and it's kind of hampering his attacking output a little bit. Today, first half specifically, he was in and around the attacking areas. He was central. He was getting involved in a lot. Like, a lot of the play was going through him, and some of his passes, he was just slipping people in like it was nothing. Round the back, through the Brentford's defenders, he was finding the gaps. He's so good. He's so good. I really want to see him further forward in a more central area this season. When we reverted to type, he went back out wide in the second half, and it dampened a lot of what he can do. But when he's central, he's so good. And then my man of the match, Benrahma. Saeed Benrahma, man. He's stepped up this preseason. He really has. And his goal was, let's talk about it some more. But it wasn't just that. I thought the rest of his game was good as well. Like I said, he was linking up well with Lanzini and Fornals. He was finding good space. He was drifting in from the wing to collect the ball. He was good close control, moving it round. He had a good eye for goal. Like, he had a couple of warning shots before the banger that went in. And not necessarily in him specifically, but in the team as a unit. I think with Fornals involved, maybe if you get Bowen on the right instead of Johnson in a sort of three behind a striker kind of thing, I think there's a Lingard replacement there. You know, I don't think we necessarily need him. I think Lingard is great when he has the pitch in front of him to play in, when he collects the ball deep and he has to charge through. I think that's great, and that's probably a style of football we're going to see more and more often this season, more so than preseason at least. But when we're looking to control the game, there's something there, and I'm not saying Benrahma is the replacement. I'm saying all of them as a unit, I think, are a replacement. And if if you have a bunch of players playing to one player's ability, I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, I think he deserves all the praise in the world, because I thought he was a banger. Anyway, there you go. A review, a thing, one take. What time to be alive? Patreon.com/HammersChat. Link in the description below. Join tomorrow. Don't join today. Bad idea. You get charged twice. Join tomorrow. Just trust me. Trust me. Drop a like if you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you're new around here, and we'll see you next time. See you later. Bye.